guys, welcome back. So today I thought I'd continue with a collection type theme as seen in my MAC lipstick collection video, which if you haven't already seen I will link below. And I thought I'd go for a different brand today, and I've gone for NARS, and this is going to be my NARS Blush Collection. At the moment I have 5 shades, and there were 2 other shades that I kind of wasn't really feeling, so I've cast them off to Passages New, and I'll explain why I didn't particularly like those shades towards the end of the video, and I may mention particular shades that I kind of want to get my hands on at the end as well. So I hope you guys enjoy. What I will say first of all about NARS blushes is that they're not the cheapest blushes out there. I'm pretty sure they're about £21. So I don't buy them as often as I would a drugstore blush, but they are definitely worth investing in. I think that they have really amazing pigmentation, they go on lovely and they blend beautifully, they last all day, and there's some really gorgeous shades out there. I do have quite a few MAC blushes as well, which I will do a collection of if you want me to do so. If you just comment below and I'll see what I can rustle up for you. Yeah, so like I say, I've got 5 at the moment, and there are a few other ones that I have got my eye on, so they shall be making their way to me at some point, hopefully maybe in the near future. So I'll start with the first one, which I would probably say is my favourite NARS blush. And what you'll find with NARS blushes, or any NARS product, is that they tend to have kind of like quite sexual names, and this one is no exception, as it's called Deep Throat. I'll let you think about that one. And I'd say this is probably my most used and favourite of the NARS blushes. I wouldn't say that these are, you know, massive blushes at all. They're a lot smaller than a lot of blushes, but I do think they last a long time. I think this is possibly the first NARS blush I ever bought, and it's definitely my favourite by far. This is definitely one I find myself going back to, and it's a nice flush of colour on the cheeks. It's a very pinky sort of shade with a nice bit of golden fleck through it. It's not too shimmery, but it is sort of like adds a bit of something to the face. I would say it's a much more wearable version of Orgasm, which may well feature at the end of this video. It's a very subtle alternative, that, because I feel with Orgasm it's a lot more shimmery and it's a lot brighter and it's a bit more in your face. But this is a really nice mix of sort of pinky peachy tones, and it's definitely a great all day one, sort of everyday blush, and you know, it's just really easy to wear, and it's just like a lovely wash of colour. The next one is probably, I think it's like the third one I bought, and it's Gina, which is what I would call a tangerine shade. It's a matte blusher, meaning that it's got like no shimmer in it whatsoever. It's quite a flat colour, but I wouldn't say that it was kind of like blocky on the skin. It's really lovely tangerine-y, peachy, orangey shade that is really easy to blend. It looks amazing with a bit of this blush on and then highlight over. That just like really adds, kind of like brings it out of its shell a little bit. And it is one that you can sort of, if you use it lightly, you can get a light wash of colour, or you can build it to a much stronger colour because it is quite pigmented, so you don't really have to use a lot of it. It's a really, I think this is quite a wearable shade. Even though it's like tangerine-y shade, it's not kind of the usual shade that people go for in blush, but I think it just adds a bit of vibrancy to the skin, and it's just like a nice alternative shade. The next shade I've got is one that I think is really bright in the pan, and it's Matalan, which I went to a Space NK store near me, and I was wanting a new blusher, but I didn't really know what shade to go for because they don't stock Sin, which is one that I've had my eye on for a while. They don't stock that in Space NK for some reason. They only have like a few of the shades. So it was literally, I tried on this one and Torrid, but Torrid was out of stock, so I kind of got this one instead. And it's a really pigmented rosy pink colour, and It's one of those where a little goes an absolute long way because of how pigmented it is. And I just think it just has a really nice pop of colour on this cheek that's like quite vibrant, and it gives you that sort of like rosy flush sort of colour to your face. And it's a satiny sheen, so it does have a slight bit of like sheeny to it, but it's not got any glitter in it. It's not matte and it's not a shimmer, but it looks really scary in the pan, but it actually comes across really nicely and lasts well on the cheeks. The next one is probably actually a little bit scarier than Matalan in the pan, and it is Seduction, which looks like, I can see it on camera and I'm like, oh, it looks scary. This is really intensely pigmented. I would kind of call it sort of like a winey colour, so a bit like of a sangria shade, and it's really easy to blend, and it actually surprisingly, you know, can look quite subtle on the cheek, and it's just nice to add a bit of sort of colour into the cheeks and a bit of warmth. And I do tend to tap the excess off on the back of my hand, but I do think that it's just a really beautiful shade, and it's probably one that's perfect for darker skin tones, but again, if you use it lightly, it's great for paler skin as well. And the final one I've got is Amour, which I would call the ultimate peachy pink. It's another matte shade, which again I think just nice for adding a bit of something to the face, and looks really nice with a highlighter, just to give it that bit of something extra. And it's nicely pigmented, and it's very easy to wear. It's one of those pick up and go shades, and I probably don't use it as much as I should, and it's kind of like one of those that would be like a little bit overlooked just because it kind of just looks like average in the pan, but it's actually really, really lovely on the skin. So the two shades that I disliked, the first one is Orgasm, which I just find is a little bit, it's just a little bit too pigmented in terms of the glitter. There's too much glitter going through it, and I really, really tried to make it work. It's like a pinky sort of toned blush with a hell of a lot of gold glitter through it, which I just think kind of overwhelmed my face, and it just kind of looked a bit meh on me. And I think it's quite funny because I'm sure it's NARS's best selling blusher, but I think it's such a disappointment, and it kind of just like didn't last very well on my skin either. It kind of looked alright for about an hour, and then it just sort of blended into just glitter, and there wasn't much colour left, which is a shame because, you know, there's so much hype around it that I wasn't impressed with it at all. The next one, a similar kind of issue, and it's Angelika, which is a bright Barbie pink. I think it was a little bit too pink for me. I think I've kind of got out of that sort of Barbie phase of my makeup years, but with that one I kind of found it was a little bit too blue toned, but also it had a serious amount of silver glitter through it, which I just thought didn't transfer nicely. It wasn't well milled at all, and just was a little bit too much on my cheeks. Wishlist wise, the first one would be Sin, which is like a berry shade with a bit of shimmer through it, and I'd say it's probably more of a wintry shade, so that's probably why I'm going to possibly purchase that. The next one is Torrid, which is sort of like a reddy sort of corally shade, and whilst it has some shimmer through it, it's not as intense as Orgasm, so I think that may be another good alternative. And then there's another two that I really sort of looked at and was like, yeah, they're nice shades. And one is Luster, which is kind of like Gina, but with a bit more sheen, and it's a bit more, you know, like summery and kind of like a goldeny sort of shade. And then there's Madly, which is a soft brown shade with hints of peach and orange sheen to it, so I think that's going to be kind of like a really nice warming colour on the skin. So we'll see how I get on with trying to tighten the purse strings but also increasing my collection. I don't know how that'll go. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and comment below. I will be doing swatches and what the blusher looks like on in my blog post that will accompany this. And yeah, so if you liked that, etc., and you haven't already subscribed, please do so by using the button above, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!